Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Got it.
At long last, welcome to the Salted Butter Podcast. We've completely fucked up the introduction.
Yep.
We're so professional, guys. All right, once again, I'm missing person.
I'm Alpha. This is Lando. Welcome to the Salted Butter Podcast. Spread that shit on
So-
Jesus Toast.
Yeah, we're definitely spreading some shit today because, yeah, we're just going to talk some shit about Mafia and hope you guys enjoy it. We're not going to go through all these stupid introductions that we just did. That was kind of scripted. But we've got a whole lot of stuff to go over today, so we're just going to jump right in. I mean, we've got to talk about our All-Star game that just finished. We've got an interview with the man himself, Pimp Willy. He's here.
Big
He's
boy.
waiting. And we've got to talk about Proving Grounds, announce the theme. We've got some other special shit that we can't even share right now, or else we'll have to kill you.
Top secret.
Totally top secret. If we tell you now, someone may actually kill us.
And we can't have that on Twitch because that's against the terms and conditions.
Yeah, and then you would just have to kill Fuzzback because I'm pretty sure he did it.
I mean, that's a given anyway, but you know.
Yeah. So, all right. So we're going to jump in. You know, we just finished All-Star Game, the Naruto theme. We had 13 players in. Heavy-handed civilian victory.
Very heavy. Ended by day 3 with 3 Mafia?
Yeah, it ended on day 3, 3 Mafia down in a matter of 3 days. It was just a runaway.
It was carnage.
Yeah, on top of that, Mafia only got 2 civilians out.
Shame on you.
Yeah, one by Miss Lynch, one by Night Kill because, well, guess who's the medic?
I mean, it was biased, so can we really call it a mislich?
Oh, shots fired already. We're only like 40 seconds into the podcast and we're firing shots. Oh,
We'll try to keep
shit.
it PG here.
Oh, shit. So let's run through first, just in case there's someone at home that has never even seen us play this game. We'll just run through some of the names. We'll kind of give like a brief explanation of how they play. So, all right. So
Sounds
first
like a
off,
good idea.
of course, me, missing person. I can't really talk about myself because, well, that would just be me being a dick. So, Alpha, why don't you just explain my play?
Okay, well, missing person is our highest poster out of all of us, and he's usually the one taking up half of the pages there. His tactics can be a bit obsessive at times, but he has good reason for it. Anything else you think I should add?
Well, I'll just say, yeah, no shit about the taking up half the pages because I looked at this game and almost every page was half of just me posting half the posts.
Pretty much.
pretty damn obsessive. So I'm not. So I think you hit the nail on the head. Pretty much what I've always said is there's rhyme to my reason. So yeah, you pretty much just nailed it. Of course, we had Alpha in the game, which Alpha is always makes himself pretty hard to read on day 1, just by doing the same shit every day. One, by lynching Fuzz and then coming up with some plan to protect the special role. It's become very traditional. It's usually by day 2 that you can start to figure out Alpha's game plan, whether he's Mafia or not, which is why he often dies as a Mafia on day 2.
Or civilian is day 2.
Yeah. So, yeah, Alpha's kind of the day 2 martyr.
Yeah.
All right, then we had Bias, which we'd already talked shit about. Would you like to explain Bias's special ability?
Bias has an ability of getting his target lynched without evidence. is what I want to say.
Yeah. We shortened that to tunnels. He has tunnels
Yeah.
for eyes. You've said that many times. All right. After that, Chief. We're basically just going down the name of civilians right now. We'll go down to the Mafia later. Civilians, Chief.
Chief doesn't like to role claim, ever.
And he doesn't like to ever look clean.
Yeah.
He is continually.
That's I'm not too sure about, but it works for him, so yeah.
Yeah, somehow. Well, I kind of do that at the same time. I do end up looking very dirty on day one, and then having to work myself out of the hole. No matter what I do, I look dirty on day one.
Yeah.
But Chief just looks dirty throughout most of the game, and then still manages to survive for a long time.
He does, actually. He tends to last for a long time, considering he's a veteran of the game.
Yeah, it's surprising. All right, next up, Blind Nag, our Swedish player, who, yeah, he's one of the more silent players out of all of them. I mean, he is probably one of the most passive players, but yet he's very smart. He's always lurking. He's always paying attention, and he pushes well.
I would like to see more comments from him during the game, though, because his insights are lost.
Yeah, he is very smart. It's just, but he passive game style, which works for him. I'm almost scared that if he toned it up a little, that people would be taken aback and lynch him wrongly.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, Augustus. Who I don't know what the fuck he was doing this game at all.
Yeah, but yeah, going back to his playstyle, he has a habit of getting Mafia, but not communicating that to the rest of the thread.
Yeah, he's kind of like the opposite of Great Cowlord, where Great Cowlord will never explain what he's doing and always get a civilian.
Yeah.
And Augustus will never explain what he's doing and get Mafia more often than not.
I see him and Combo Knight as similar play styles there.
Yeah, the chaos that they cause.
Exactly.
But Augustus makes more sense.
True.
All right. After Augustus, Hikatom, our Honduran player. Playing when he knows that English is not his second language, and probably one of the more emotional players.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he did well in this game because he managed to keep that under control.
Yeah, so he was very surprising in that. He actually held it together very well compared to the Hikatom that I've watched, especially harkening back to his first game where he completely flipped out day one on his second post.
Oh, yeah.
And almost got himself mislynched off of nothing.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, he managed to hold himself together this time.
Yeah, it was very good. It was probably one of his better games recently.
Yep.
Okay. And then we had Vince. Our smooth talker. Sometimes I think he plays drunk.
Is he never not drunk?
Fair. Well, probably when he's stocking goods. I mean, you wouldn't want to have stuff fall on you inebriated.
That's true.
But you know, he plays well. He keeps people not suspecting him, but suspecting him enough that he stays alive more often than not.
He's also one of those people that keeps information to himself.
Yes, he plays very to the cuff, but at the same time, he can get people to believe he's civilian very easily. Even when he's not civilian, it's actually kind of scary.
Yep. As he proves in South Park.
Oh god, yeah. I'm still embarrassed of the Civ play in that one. Just Vince was not himself, but no one could figure it out. All right, who else am I missing? I know I'm missing a lot of people.
Let's see. Where's the list
Gamer
here?
guy.
The gamer guy. Voted in.
Voted in. This is his third game. He got voted in off of 2 games. That says something. Probably the second most active poster overall.
Yes.
And another emotional player.
Did
But
play
he is-
dangerously during day 1.
Yeah. Yeah, he got into that fight with Fuzz that almost cost him dearly. But he puts things together really quickly. It's not unfair to put him in the game because he really has come on very strong.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He's still got a lot to work on. I think I've talked to him about this, but he will pick it up probably in the next few games. He's a quick.
Yeah, well, he's
learner.
only been playing for a couple of games so far, right?
Yeah, he's played 2 open forum games, and then he's been in literally every Friday Night Mafia that we've ran.
Yep.
So he's picked up a lot in a very short amount of time, and it's very admirable. So, gamer guy, Kaz, veteran, the longest playing player that was in the All-Star game this time.
Oh, that's right, because Ozzy wasn't in it.
Yeah. Second would be Bias, and then I think third would probably actually be me.
Yeah.
So Kaz is another one that keeps reads to himself.
Yeah. And in this case, it managed to get him the Night to Kill.
Yeah. Exactly. And there was a reason for that as well. But it didn't work quite the way the Mafia wanted. So, she is another one that's... Oh, wait, no. Wait, we're moving in the wrong direction. Who else was Civ in that game? Am I missing anybody?
There were 13 people that played. How many have we got so far?
I can't count. I can't remember.
Alright, let's bring up the list.
Yeah.
Did we say 8-bit? No, wait, he didn't play.
8-bit did not play. There was...
Game threads.
God damn. You'd think with this only having ended on Sunday, I would still know. But...
We're gonna miss someone super obvious.
I know. That's pretty bad. But I remembered Blind Nag. He is not forgotten this time.
Oh. No, we got everyone.
We got
Just
everyone.
the Mafia
All right.
left.
All right. So then Mafia, our great, wonderful Mafia that just got bodied. Godfather.
Hold that.
Fuzz. Which Fuzz is most noted for Mafia play. He managed to pull off one of the sneakiest plays in Mafia history
With the
on our
assistance of
side.
Vince.
With the standard password encrypted file that he cracked and made everyone
since
believe
then he hasn't done much else.
I know. Well, he...
Oh, we did have that thing with the Chief in boy bands?
Yeah, he did. And in the 14th game, he had a good round with Chief. And that's about it, other than keeping OZ alive as Mafia.
Oh, yeah, that was a good time.
Oh, Lord. Then, first recruit was Co Jones.
Yes.
Who really does have bad luck as Mafia. He always ends up getting reamed really early, and it's really sad. It's almost kind of like an epic
from activity.
he does die a lot from inactivity, but when he's Mafia, he also ends up getting killed just by random shit that no one should ever get lynched for or killed for. Yeah, a lot of slip-ups, for sure, which we'll get into. And then the last Mafia was Forge, who has a good track record as Mafia.
She does.
Yeah, she really does.
I think she's the one who's won as Mafia most out of all of us.
Out of the ones that were in All-Stars?
Out of everyone, I think.
Yeah, well, there may be others.
Yeah.
I'd say, yeah, probably.
I don't know, we'd have to double check that.
I think she's 50-50, and so is Vince.
Okay.
And I think that may be the highest. So, all right. So we've went over everybody, I think.
Yep, that's everyone.
Okay. So, first notable thing that happened in the game happened, sadly, in pregame, where Co Jones had noticed a post I had mentioned about roles being sent out, and
yes,
and jokingly is what I hear, asked if I was role claiming vigilante.
You don't make jokes in Mafia.
Ask Pimp Willy later. Which if you guys want, all our viewers out there, if you want, go ahead and start putting in your questions for Pimp Willy, because we will be taking user questions.
That's right.
So, yeah. So that starts off at the end of pregame. Game thread goes up. What's my first post? I'm after you, Co Jones, because holy shit, you just roll hunted me in pregame.
Bad move.
Really bad move. And then, of course, so the only few posts he makes are responding to my accusations that he's role claiming. His very first post in the thread was, so you are saying that you got a role card.
Yep, I think all of his posts from day one didn't have anything to contribute to the thread.
They literally were arguing with me about his role hunting gate.
Yep.
Which was utter bullshit, but hey, even if you're joking, that's not the thing you want to joke about.
No.
To tell the truth, from playing from this game with Co Jones getting lynched as Mafia for a joke in the pregame, I'm almost saying that we probably should just start locking the sign-up thread right when roles go out. So
that might be something we need to consider.
Yeah, we've joked about it before. You know, it's Yomi. It's mind games to fuck around in the pregame. But that literally fucked over the Mafia.
It really did. Because from there, it was just a domino effect for the other two.
Yeah, it was all downhill from there. Yeah. Because you had both remaining Mafia really start to distance themselves from Co Jones at that point.
Yeah.
We had Forge concede that she was probably going to vote for Co Jones, missed the deadline, and after that, nothing else was said about him.
Yeah. And the fact that he was Netsu gave us a big hint there.
Yeah. And then Fuzz later says, okay, I can see your suspicion on Co Jones, but blah, 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 and then tries to derail the subject.
Yep.
So it was a weird open. Another weird moment, especially in day one, was Fuzz Chief talking. It was just a very weird moment because Fuzz goes, "Hey, Chief, now that you're here, what do you think of missing person, and what do you think of this Code Jones lynch?" And then it almost just seemed scripted at that point.
Yeah, leading questions going from there.
Yeah, it was very weird, but honestly, if I was to say that Mafia made a good play, that would be it.
Okay.
Because at that point, you're backpedaling because you already know that Code Jones is going to get pushed. Because like you said, I'm very
adamant about getting your targets lynched.
Yeah. So I'm not. It's going to be very hard for me to lay off of him.
Yeah, because you're not going to back down, and we know it's not a trap.
Yeah. So at that point, you have to put. So you're already kind of thinking, all right, well, Code Jones may be lost. Let's try and get somebody else on the chopping block before we do.
Yeah.
So putting Chief out there and just twisting his arm to try and get his input, and then see him kind of give us a little more of this like wishy-washy post that he actually gave, which was like nothing really rings a bell with MP at this point, but this Code Jones lynch just seems like a Mafia ploy.
I have a feeling that was him protecting his role, though.
That is, but Fuzz bringing it up, Fuzz pushing him, even not knowing that Chief was rolled, having Fuzz bring it up did kind of shift something off of Pimp Willy, or off of him and Forge, or it should have.
Yeah. Should have,
Instead, what
but
happened?
Then night one happened.
Yeah, all right. So, well, wait, we haven't really gone over all of day one.
Oh, we still got something to go over? Okay.
Well, there was, it was very close. We do have to mention that the lynch was very close. We had the 3 on Fuzz by default.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and then we had we had a very close lynch on Code Jones. I wasn't sure if it was going to go through. I wasn't sure if him or Fuzz was getting lynched. And just because I hadn't counted every vote, so I didn't see everyone publicize.
Well, you couldn't count every vote because some of them didn't publicize their votes.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, so it wound up 4 votes to 3. Code Jones gets lynched, turns up first recruit, and Fuzz with 3, me with 1. Who was the one?
Code Jones.
Yeah, Code Jones votes for me, which does set up a little bit of Yomi. All right, so night 1. I'll let you explain night 1.
Night 1. So, for the most part, the thread seemed to be fairly quiet. There was a bit of discussion about the Code Jones being Mafia and who that linked to and how you interacted with that. And then from there, it was just me and you talking about the plan with the engagement results.
Yeah. So, yeah, we wound up having a long debate about how we were going to protect the medic, or the medic, the undercover. Yeah. So, end of night 1.
End of night 1, right up goes up. I'm protected.
You're protected. By who?
By the fabulous medic.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for that wonderful round of applause in the stream chat for telling me I'm a wonderful medic.
Yep, I can see all the round of applause in the chat there.
Yeah, throw up your kappas for awesome medics. So,
okay, so what made you protect me?
All right. So at that point, I was almost sure that I was getting killed. Like, there was no doubt in my mind that I was getting killed at that point, because I had just pushed, Co Jones hard. I had already put up I had already put up 2 more people that I wanted lynched right after him. I figured if I was wrong, they would kill me to make civilians follow my list. If I was right, they would kill me to try and divert them off the list. And with the Co Jones, with the roll hunting and me deflecting on that, I thought, yeah, they know I have a roll. I'm screwed. What the fuck? And I look at you. I had put you as neutral just to try and throw them off. After the UC debate, I was sure that you were clean. So that was that was going to be my night protect. Probably nothing's going to happen with that. I didn't think they'd kill Blind Nag. I didn't think that he would have any bearing on that because he's so passive. So I throw you in. I'm like, fuck it. And especially since my top suspect at that time was Fuzz, I figure if anybody is going to kill Alpha, Fuzz will.
Yep.
So I throw Alpha in, and poof, I wake up in the middle of the night just to see the night ride up, and I couldn't go back to sleep because I was like, oh, fuck yeah, I got the protect. I just hope he wasn't calm. All right, with that, we're going to take a quick break and refresh the stream, and then we're going to come back and talk day 2, night 2. And
day
the
3.
fateful day 3, which looked really like a clusterfuck. Okay, we'll be back.
All right.
So, all right, so we're back with day 2. We now know, most likely Blind Nag is clean because he was so willing to go on Co Jones. Vince is probably clean because he went on Co Jones. Alpha's 100%. And people are still saying I'm 1% Mafia, and that's enough to lynch me.
At that point, you were my top pick for medic, with second being Forge.
Okay, all right. How did you come about the read on me being medic?
It was less of a read with content of the thread, and more of people that I think would protect me. So that order kind of went you, Forge, TGG, Augustus, then Fuzz.
Okay.
Those are my top 5.
Yeah, now see, that's funny. Yeah, and the funny thing is I actually have a history of protecting you night 1, which wound up with me getting killed.
Yes.
The funny thing is I soft-claimed in my first post with the name of the write-up for my first medic play where I got killed night 1. And that was the game that I protected you.
Huh.
The irony runs thick there. So then
day 2.
Day 2 turned out to be a pseudo clusterfuck because there was so many different ways everyone wanted to go.
Oh yeah.
Like I am still not 100% sure how the bias train got started.
He no-lynched day 1. That was a big contribution to it.
Yeah.
There were a couple of other things he said in the thread that added to it, but yeah, I think those are the main areas that he got caught on.
Yeah, see, I was skimming at that point, and I just saw Kaz go, well, so are we going to go with bias today? And I was like, why? My read for bias at that time was that he would not no lynch as Mafia unless someone else went with him. out of fear of that's exactly what it would look like, that he's Mafia.
Okay.
So I really couldn't follow the bias Lynch scenario. It was just too eeky for me. So I went back, I started looking through the thread, and my aggression happens again. And I pretty much spent the entire day saying, you guys need to vote Fuzz, and you guys are fucking idiots if you don't, and I will tell you I told you so a million times.
And at that point, the chances of Fuzz being medic for me were higher than chances of Bias being medic, so that was okay with me for Bias to get lynched.
Oh, yeah. See, yeah. And I know Bias would never protect you.
Exactly.
So that does make sense, because if you can rule out the people that wouldn't protect you, then it kind of does narrow down who might be Mafia a little better.
Yeah.
Of course, they have the same likelihood to be civilian, but if that's the case, then it's most likely rollless.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I spent the rest of the day 2 just pleading with people to vote Fuzz with me. And then for
Blancag, of all people, went with Bias as well.
Yeah, I was shocked about that. Like, Bias or Blindag is usually very considerate of the texture of the thread and what's going on, and reading everybody's post to see who has the better case against them. So I really felt like Bias did not have the better case. Considering everything that I piled on Fuzz, I thought that I made it almost too damning for Fuzz not to get lynched. And then I looked and I saw one thing, and I want to harken back to something that I said during the day 1 discussion, was that Co Jones voted for me. With 1 vote.
Why didn't he vote for Fuzz?
Vote one vote separating him and Fuzz from being lynched. He could have saved himself by voting Fuzz. It would have either been no lynch, or if someone else voted Fuzz, Fuzz gets lynched over him. If Fuzz is a civilian, why would Co Jones not get on Fuzz? He's going to die no matter what at this point. You could stall your death, get a civilian out, make the civilian start off backpedaling.
And in a game of numbers, that is important.
Exactly. And especially when you can get, especially when you have such low numbers as Mafia, you really need that. So at that point, I'm just like, that makes 0 sense. If I'm about to get mislynched as Mafia, or if I'm about to get lynched as Mafia, and there's a civilian on the chopping block with me, hell yeah, I'm jumping on the civilian every time.
Absolutely.
So then at that point, I'm like, there's no way. There's no way Fuzz is not Mafia. I've got a lock. And that's when I really started pleading with people to make the vote with me. And then for the weirdest play of the whole fucking game, Augustus says he's voting Fuzz. Right up comes up, he votes Bias. And his whole reasoning is his fingers slipped.
I don't know what he was going for there.
I had an idea of what he went for, and I'll explain it in a minute. But
Okay.
yeah, so Bias wins. He wins pretty handedly. He wins
7-4?
Yeah, it was 7-4, I believe. And Bias is gone. Roll a civilian. Start of night 2. Not a lot shared in night 2. It was mostly just me talking shit about Fuzz has got to be Mafia. Vigilante needs to hit him. Oh, wait a second. There's Augustus's weird ass vote. Cop needs to check him.
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
Yeah. So naturally, yeah, the vigilante hits Fuzz night 2.
Yep.
And Fuzz turns out Godfather. And then Kaz is night 2 casualty. And there was a reason for that, which I now believe to be, yeah, it was straight meta at that point.
Okay.
Part meta, part mindfuck. Because at that point, they did not read me for a role. Could not read me for shit for a role. and they were sure that I was going to get protected by the medic at that point. So they had like 2 things they could do with Kaz. Code Jones had a role read on him, so they could see if that worked. And I'm the one that says I can always read Kaz by day 3, which I've fucked up before, but they can make it look like I did that. They can. Oh yeah, I fucked up on the Kaz read. I don't know how many, or the last time I tried it, but by killing Kaz night 2, they could see if he has a role, and then see if they could push me by saying only I would kill Kaz night 2. So.
Okay.
Yeah. And of course, I wasn't on Kaz. I was on Blind Mag. I figured if there's any time that they're going to start killing him, it's either going to be me or him tonight. Maybe Vince. Maybe. At this point, Vince is cleared 100% for voting Mafia twice.
Yep.
You're still cleared just because Medic actually protected you. And Blind Mag is halfway clear. I mean, he shouldn't have been on bias, but he was very willing to go on Code Jones, which I could not see him doing as Mafia.
So then at that point, we had 2 definitely cleared, 3 civ roles, 9 players left.
Right. And so at that point, it is becoming a process of elimination, but then I fuck up. I lock immediately on Chief because my suspicion was Augustus, but then I started having this feeling that he did something on purpose.
Okay, explain that.
Okay. So he had lynched Bias while he was saying that he was going after Fuzz. And then taunts the whole thread about that after it happens. So at that point, I'm realizing the vigilante can get shown up as guilty after he kills. So I figured Augustus realized this. He was about to put in the kill on Fuzz. He knew it. So he was wanting to get investigated before the kill finished, night 2 finished, and then he shows up as innocent. Unfortunately, we later find out that if he's investigated the same night he first kills, he shows up guilty. But at that point, it made sense.
Okay.
That there was no other plausible explanation that Augustus would do that line. And
plus the WME he had there going with the "Kill me, I dare you" message that he put in his signature.
Yeah, exactly. Which that's Augustus to a T anyways, but
yeah.
Except for when he's on Skype Mafia and then you can barely get him to talk and we can't even get him to mic drop.
We got to see that one day.
I'm imploring him to do it at one point. I'm going to have to pay him, I think. But
he needs a good read and then just Bang.
And then the whole audience will just explode in applause. We'll need to make that like a meme at that point. So anyways, so I go to bed, wake up, clusterfuck happens. No one's voted yet, but we're having just this massive amount of role claiming at this point.
Yeah, 4 troll claiming medic.
Yeah, which I did not see when I put up my role claim. Which I explained, I did not even see that. So I come in and I say, I'm medic, here's who I protected, here's why, here's what I think, and here's where I softed in my very first post.
Yep.
Which turns Forge into... I've never seen her that animated in a thread. And it starts this huge spitting match between me and her.
Yep.
Which I won, and there's a reason why it became so obvious that I was the real medic. Because by the end of it, I wound up saying, okay, then if you don't believe me, lynch me. I'll take it.
Yep.
Because as soon as you lynch me, you'll see that I'm medic. Then you have to kill Forge.
Exactly.
And at that point,
at that point, Forge was just trying to get that extra day.
Yeah. So, the only way she could have done it at that point would have been to say the exact same thing I did, which would have caused a 50-50 that people would not want to try and get involved with.
Right.
It could have still went where we would have lynched between medics, but there's been history of SRK, Jesus Toast, not doing that. And they will instead go a different direction because they don't want to touch that yet. They can't make sense of it.
Yep.
I'm not saying that's right, but it has happened. So she had a better chance of just parroting me. She didn't. In fact, she even said, why would I want to go ahead of someone I'm sure is Mafia? Because if you are the real medic, you getting lynched means the Mafia will get killed next.
And at the end of the day, Mafia is a team-based game.
Exactly. So it did. It turned out to be very poor at that point. Which I did explain. Yep. I explained why that didn't work. And forfeit, civilians win.
Before Pimp Willy does his thing.
Oh, yeah. Pimp Willy always, trolling the entire thread.
As usual.
Says, oh, wait, I sent out the wrong roll card to Forge. She's really supposed to be the cop.
Whoops.
Whoops. Like, I actually started to believe him. I was like, oh, wow, I don't feel so bad as screwing up his GM so many times.
No.
And then later, game over, civilians win. God dang it.
Oh, that's up him.
It was almost, we've had 2 very lopsided victories in a row.
That's right. Yeah, we have.
Yeah, we had Phoenix, right, where Synonym pretty much just named every Mafia straight down the list. Period. It was just on day 3 he had every name. It was scary, but it was so lopsided that was.
He just managed to connect the dots.
Yeah, he really did. He connected every dot, and it was beautiful but boring. Because the entire game just turned into an automatic, oh, well, we'll follow the list down.
And there were a couple of people that had complaints about that.
Oh, yeah. It was a very salty moment. It was like, why are we even playing now? It's pretty much just lynch everybody that Synonym said to lynch.
And we did.
and it worked. It worked well.
And it worked.
But then again, pretty much the same thing. All except for one Mafia. I had 2 Mafia on day 1, and it was pretty much automatic after that. Not really that automatic.
Yep.
It was honestly, it was lopsided. But just looking at it from the standpoint of viewing the thread instead of playing it, it was a little more intense.
Yeah, well, by day 3 we won. With just with numbers.
Yeah, and there was a lot of confusion. There was a lot of arguments. There was a lot of debate. You didn't get that in the last game.
So yeah, all in all, a successful game for civilians.
Oh yeah, it was very successful. Honestly, I would have loved to see more happen, but I'll take the victory any day. I'll just run with it.
Exactly.
All right. So we've talked about this enough. But we've got to bring on the guy who ran it.
Of course.
I mean, so he's been waiting. I mean, he's probably had some coffee because I mean it's 4 a.m. It's about 5 a.m. where he is right now.
Oh, I'm sure he's excited to come and get interviewed by all the people in the Twitch chat.
Yeah, I gotta check. Since I'm the one running the interview, I'm gonna have to pretty much go through it.
Yep. So I'll let you get to it then.
All right. So all right. So Alpha's gonna disconnect for a bit so I can run this interview with Pimp Willy.
All right. Catch you later.
All right. So I've got some things in here. I've got this receipt that I've pretty much just cobbled together a whole bunch of questions myself. Spur of the moment. Looking at you guys in the stream chat. Good, we've got a couple questions. All right, so without too much more, we'll get Pimp Willy in here. Any questions about what I went through in the game from the stream? While we're waiting for Mr. Lando Calrissian himself. Not a thing. All right, guys. Well, we're waiting for him to connect. It'll take a minute. All right. Well, hey.
Hello, missing person.
What's up, Pimp Willy?
Not much. Yourself?
Just trying to stay awake at 9 at night. How's it going?
Oh, you think that's bad? I'm up at 4 a.m.
So I've got to, if you're up at 4 a.m., I do have to ask you, why are you standing in your carport?
Because this is the sunniest place I could find.
All right.
Also, this baby helps me with the sun.
Are you using the baby?
Because he is my son.
All right. So, Pimp Willy.
Yes.
All right. So this is your first game back at GMing in quite a while. I think since the Werewolves game.
Oh, was it that long?
Yeah, yeah, you pretty much took let Mafia take a backseat to your arena in game.
Ah, yes, because I do run those all the time. It just
Yeah,
feels like that I GM a lot more than that.
I know. You're just like, I mean, you were runner-up in the GM of the Year award.
Runner-up, that's bullshit.
All right. So coming back, what was your thoughts on how this whole game went down?
Well, I think it was balanced perfectly. It's just that the Mafia handled it really badly.
All right. So if they handled it badly, I mean, who do you think was the key that dropped the ball for Mafia? Who do you think really caused it to just crumble?
Well, that depends on which day you're talking about, because Night 1 was definitely a Radical Fuzz fiasco. By targeting Alpha, that was a very big mistake by him. The Co-Jones let a lot slip during day 1. And Forge did the best she did, but day 3 she didn't have any choice. So yeah, definitely a combined effort by Co-Jones and the Radical Fuzz there.
All right. So if you were to say who was the biggest loser in this game, who do you think would be the biggest loser?
Probably Bias for being the only civilian to be mislynched.
Okay, yeah, that was pretty bad. Do you think he could have handled it any differently?
Yes, I think the way he reacted to being lynched was definitely a detriment to his gameplay, and part of the reason he was lynched on day 2.
Okay. So what part of his reaction would you say caused him to get mislynched?
Ooh, that's a tough one, because it's not more about one single post that he made, it's more about the attitude that he had during the entire day 2.
All right, yeah. So do you think he even contributed? I'm sorry, I'm so professional, guys.
That's alright, take your time.
I think I've seen a ghost. All right, so so do you think he contributed? Do you think he could have contributed anything that would have kept him from getting mislynched?
I think on day 1 the no lynch definitely worked against him there. On day 2, I think if he'd focused on more contributing to the thread, then he might have been able to avoid the lynch and push it onto Radical Fuzz.
Okay, all right. So we had 13 players, right?
Correct.
All right. So off the top of your head, give the 2 biggest overperformers of the game and the 2 biggest underperformers of the game.
Well, MP, you know me. I only notice people with roles. So the medic,
True.
you were definitely the number 1, and Vigi for number 2 for taking out the Mafia.
All
So
right.
well done to you.
Well, thank you, Pimp Willy. I really appreciate the on-air adulation.
Well, you know it's an honor getting it from me.
Oh, I know, because you give it out so rarely.
That's right. You managed to get A- tier. That's pretty up there.
Yeah, I think I've only ever seen you give A tier and lower.
I don't think I've ever gotten S tier because nobody deserves it except me.
I know. I mean, you have the record to prove it for sure.
So as for the lowest contributors, it's hard to say because I don't remember anybody without a role, but I'd say Kaz and Bias just for being the 2 civilians got killed.
Okay, but not the 2 Mafia that just got axed so quickly.
Oh, we're ignoring those
Oh,
guys.
we're ignoring them. Oh man, cold shoulder.
They were just like this game.
Oh yeah. Okay. So, we got the third season about to start. We got Proving Grounds first, but then we move on to the third season, first open game. What do you think is going to happen in that third season? I mean, anything can happen. I mean, new sites, but what do you think is going to happen?
Well, yeah, like you said, anything can happen, and I'm gonna assume that there's gonna be some new players that are gonna show how good they are at this game.
All
And we
right.
saw a lot of that within T2G in the previous All-Star games that we just ran.
All right. Yeah. Do you think anybody's stock is going to rise in this third season?
Ooh. Mine, obviously.
I hope so. I mean, you're already so your game is already so well put together. I mean, how do you go up from that though?
Well, I can't really, but if I keep maintaining that level of professionality, then I believe that people will flocking to my games and will eventually name me the proest GM ever.
Oh, so you're not even really caring so much about being the best player. You just want to usurp me as the GM Golden Crust winner.
Well, it is hard to get past Synonym as the best player, but the GM is a very reasonable goal, I believe. And of course, I am going for the best player, but the GM is just the first step towards that.
So it's basically the icing on the cake for you. Just you're
Exactly.
already going to be the best player, and you just want the GM to boot.
Correct.
Okay. Now, so we're getting ready to start a semi-open game. Pimp Willy, you are so unprofessional.
I don't know what you're talking about. Me and this baby are completely professional.
I think the baby is definitely professional.
Yes. He's kept a straight face during this whole interview, which is more than you've done.
I would be scared to play this baby in Mafia. I hope I never have to lynch him.
Nobody can read baby.
Okay, so Jesus Toast is about ready to start its first semi-open game with the Proving Grounds. Do you think technologically the site's ready? I mean, do you think every kink is out of the site before we run a big open game?
There are some features that I would have liked to add by now, but for the most part, the website is functional, and there are, yeah, like I said, we can run games. We just need some more things to improve the experience.
All right, yeah. What one thing would you add if you could sight unseen right now?
Oh, definitely a vote counter.
Yeah.
That just made my job a whole lot easier.
Yeah, well, that's something that we're getting to. It's going to have to be done. And that's something that I'm taking on. I don't know when, but we'll get it. Okay.
We'll get it.
We'll get it. So power rankings right now. Best players. Top to bottom.
Best players. I would put Synonym at the top, just like everyone else. As for the next tier, I'd put you, me. I don't remember any other players.
Because they never get roles, right?
Exactly. Some Ashen dude gets roles sometimes. I'd probably put him at the tier beneath us.
All right, yeah.
The Chief close to us.
Okay.
That's about it.
All right. Who would be the bottom 5 right now?
Bottom 5. Are we excluding players that have stopped playing?
Yes.
Okay.
But they can be from
let's
SRK
see.
and not have signed up yet.
Who don't I like? I'd put OZ.
Oh,
Uh,
one shot fired.
shots fired. Who else has roles?
Blind Max had roles. Hikatom's had roles. I did.
Oh, Hikatom. He's another one that has potential, but he has performed poorly.
So is that bottom 5 for you? Hikatom.
That's all I can think of for the bottom 5, yes.
So, alright. Alright, so let's go to the stream chat, and I will ask you a few questions that the stream has... Well, we've only got one today. No one seems to like you. They would... I don't know why they wouldn't want to ask something to the great wizard Pimp Willy himself.
It's not like I'm trolling them this time.
Well, how many times would you do that?
Only once.
Only once.
Only.
Other than pretty much Trader's Lounge.
We're ignoring those.
Oh, okay. All right. Goryface asks, how do you download more RAM? Kappa.
There's a convenient website for that.
All right.
Downloadmoreram.com.
Downloadmoreram.com. There's your answer. Pimp.
There you go.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
We'll see you next time. Are you game to do this again?
Ooh, I don't know. There were some tough questions in there. We'll see what my schedule looks like.
How much coffee have you had? Real talk.
Only as much as GR's pissed out.
Pimp, it's been a pleasure. And with that, we will take another.
You're very welcome, MP.
We'll take another commercial break and be right back. All right. Are we ready?
All right, welcome back. Thanks for that, PW.
Yeah, welcome back. All right. God damn, that interview is definitely going to go down into annals of history as one of the best. Pimp Willy, always a pleasure to have him on. Yeah, you'll have to check the archive. That was just incredible. Oh, starting to hit a snag in the bandwidth. Test.
Are we getting better?
It looks better. Can you hear me?
Okay.
It's a little splotchy, but we'll work through it. All right.
All right.
Okay. So yeah, definitely gonna have to look in the archives for that Pimp Willy interview. I mean,
Yeah, I'm
always
sure
a pleasure.
PW provided a lot of insight into that.
Oh yeah, it was very incredible. Okay.
Oh, good to know.
So, all right. So here we go. All right. You asked for it on Jesus Toast. I believe it was Tao Te-Ching that asked for this. So we're gonna go into this. We're gonna start a little segment where we're gonna start coaching. You know, we got some new players coming in. Have no idea what to do. Seen a lot of amateur mistakes made. So today we're going to start. Oh yeah, even by veterans. I mean, having played in the Game of Champions, both Synonym and I saw this. I mean, we are one of the weaker Mafia sites right now.
Yep.
We learned a lot trying to impart that knowledge through example. Not everybody's catching it, so we're going to do a coaching session where we're going to start discussing, you know, different facets of playing Mafia.
Yep.
And you know, hopefully you guys learned something from this. We're just going to go through our trove of knowledge. So
yeah,
first,
keep in mind this is our sort of opinion, so it may not always be right, but this is what we kind of follow.
Yeah, this is the stuff that we do. This is the stuff that leads us to make our choices, and it does work. I mean, it may not work for you. I mean, just take it, tool around with it, scrap what you don't want to use, what you can't use, or what isn't useful for you. Keep what you do, and just improve your game. Just by, you know, even listening to us for a few minutes.
Yeah.
So the first thing we're going to talk about is just hunting for Mafia. You know, it's one of the most basic facets of Mafia, and a lot of people still flounder in this. They'll go through threads the whole game and not know where they're going. And how you know that you're clueless on what you're doing with this is usually if the Mafia keeps you in that long, especially on Jesus Toast, you're clueless. Yep. And they like that because they can manipulate that.
And that's why you'll find that players like us will die early on.
Yes, you'll often see like the better players die early because they have better reads and they can lead a thread. So, and they try to keep weaker players in simply because they don't know how to read the thread. They don't know how to find Mafia, and they'll just follow whatever lynch seems convenient.
And Mafia are good at leading that lynch when in that situation.
Yes. So as a player, even if you play a passive game, you really need to be able to find Mafia yourself. You can't rely on the stronger players because the stronger players aren't always going to be there, or they could be Mafia. So,
yep. Okay.
So let's just alternate. Like we each have 3 different talking points that we're going to go down with regards to Mafia hunting. So yep. I'll lead off. One of the key things that you've got to remember, in my opinion, especially going into day one. Day one is random. It's always random. You always have to. I mean, you can read it and you can start to see things that will make a lot of sense. But so often, and this is one of the biggest rookie mistakes, and this is one that I saw in the first game that I GM'd, is that people will latch onto anything that they think is a tell. So, and
day one is a dangerous time to slip up.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's a dangerous time to make any kind of faux pas. So, and basically the day one random shit that happens, the bad lynches, is why we've got the name Jesus Toast as our site. Because we'll literally see Jesus in the toast and just go for it. So,
yeah, and that's usually how day one goes for the past 10 or so games we've had.
Oh yeah. Now you'll see other things happen, but probably one of the worst things you can have happen is just you latch onto something that was nothing.
Yep.
Like, probably my prime example, and I've already touched on this, is in my first game that I GM'd, the South Park game. They were having the players were having, reasonable discussion. They were back and forth. It was useful at this point, productive. They were starting to flesh stuff out. Immaculate was in his second game. He stopped playing since, but he was in his second game, and he said something along the lines of, "Well, we've got to figure out what to do tonight." He was talking in real time.
But the keyword there being tonight.
Yeah, we have to think about what we're doing tonight. Everybody latched onto it. Why are you talking about tonight? We're in day phase. He was talking real time, though.
Yeah.
That was enough, though. That was enough for them to think, oh, well, Mafia just spewed who they are. Unwittingly told us who they are. Jump on Immaculate. So, and they didn't really give him any time to defend himself. They didn't care. It was just, they jumped right on it. Guess who did it too? Mafia.
Yep.
It was not Mafia that led it, but it was Mafia that pushed it.
If they see an easy lynch, they will latch onto it.
Yeah, if they it's literally, Mafia is a game whereas Mafia, you're looking to find blood in the water. If you smell that blood, you jump on it. So, and as Civs, you're trying not to bleed.
Yep.
Especially on day one. You don't want to bleed on day one.
So, yeah, getting lynched day one is a pretty demoralizing thing.
Yeah, it's not just demoralizing. That's probably 30% of it. So the 70% is you start your team off on the wrong foot by getting mislynched over a faux pas. So,
and yeah, that gives Civs no information usually.
Exactly. So 50% of it's on you to not make those kind of stupid faux pas. But the other 50% is on the rest of the civilians not latching on to literally Jesus Toast.
Exactly.
At that point, day one,
so that's why
you don't want to be falling off
target.
Yeah, you definitely need to start. You need to diversify. You need to be looking at the thread as a whole and not just one single post to latch onto. Now, I did talk about my read on Code Jones that I latched onto. That was a faux pas, but it was a Mafia faux pas. Yes.
Yeah.
There's a difference between my lynching Code Jones off of that versus an entire thread lynching Immaculate off of him saying nighttime. The thing was that with Code Jones, I didn't lock immediately. I made it known that I had not locked, and I gave Code Jones a chance to defend himself.
Yep.
His responses to that were insufficient to prove that he was anything other than Mafia. That's when I lock. That's when you lock.
Right.
If you want to jump, it's not wrong to jump on a faux pas. I'm not saying that. But if you immediately lynch off a faux pas, then you fucked up immediately. You've messed up the entire game on the start.
Yep. So it's a key, a skill to tell between faux pas and miscommunication.
Yeah. So you even when there's a faux pas, you come back and you say, "Hey, what is that?" You let them talk, and I would hope the rest of if you say that, the rest of the team does not just immediately jump on a lynch bandwagon for him. You give the person a time to explain themselves, and if you feel like they're being honest, you hold off. Later, you can revisit it if you need to. It's always there. Day one, you don't look at day one like it's going to disappear immediately after it happens. It's always there. You can go back to it in a forum game, and you can review it, and you can just bring this whole thing back up later. Don't miss.
And at that time, you usually have some information about roles and who's Mafia and who's not.
And you have more interactions to go off of than just one single slip of the tongue that maybe meant nothing. So yeah, my first one, this is one of the biggest ones for me. Don't lynch off of a simple misstep like that. It could be just Civ not thinking things through when he was writing. All right, so Alpha, you're first.
All right. Well, you know that I'm a very logical player that likes to look at statistics and stuff like that.
Yes.
So yeah, my first one is looking at the voting patterns.
Right.
And a common tactic Mafia will do is if a Mafia is up for lynch, they won't necessarily vote for the second person that's up for lynch, though some of them do. A lot of them just sort of distance themselves between the two main voters by no lynching or voting for a completely unrelated person.
Yeah, you can almost group Mafia up into someone will be on the main bandwagon. You will always see a Mafia on the main bandwagon. I've almost never seen it happen where there's a Mafia off bandwagon. You'll see one on the secondary. If there's a tertiary, you may see one there. But then you'll start seeing them, especially in a big game, they diversify.
They scatter their votes.
Yes.
And a good example of that was in this game we had recently with the Cojones.
Yes, which we've talked about already. But yeah, let's go over that again.
Yep. So we had the Cojones not voting for Fuzz, who was also a Mafia, and instead spreading his vote over to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe Forge didn't vote?
Yes, Forge no voted. She legitimately had a reason that she no voted, but of course that never looks good.
Yeah, so like regardless of the reason, the fact that she no voted did point to her being Mafia.
Yeah, it did
pointed
diversify.
to other people being Mafia, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, always check the voting patterns, and you may not have a lot to go on day one, but come day 2, day 3, it starts to flesh itself out very quickly.
Yeah,
we didn't have a lot of
forming voting patterns.
Yeah. So you'll often see clumping with voting patterns. Like you'll see certain people always stick together, and you'll see people suddenly distance themselves. You'll see like the same people mislynching people over and over again. Those are the types that you start looking at and thinking, okay, well, we really need to look into what they post.
Yeah. Unless Pimp Willy.
Yeah, Pimp Willy never makes sense. Anyways. Shots fired. You can get back at me on the next podcast. All right. Which actually, going back brings me to my next point.
Yep.
Review the thread. Look for contradictions in the thread, because it's hard as Mafia, even when you can look back and you see what you've said, it's hard. It's hard to be ideologically consistent.
And we have a lot of Ace Attorney players who can recognize those contradictions.
Yes. Yeah. So contradictions are like the key to finding Mafia. You will find more Mafia just by reviewing the thread than you ever will just by looking at one phase alone. A lot of people just keep tabs on the current phase. They don't go back. They start thinking, oh well, that was the previous day. We'll just wipe the slate clean for this phase. No, you don't. You take the game as a whole. You have to go back. You have to review the thread. The best players, like, I'll say this, with the Game of Champions, it went about 1,000 pages, but there were still people going back to day one and reviewing day one. They had notes from all the days. You don't just look at, if you're in day 3, you don't just look at day 3 and think, well, this is it. You go back. Because one prime example that I'd like to go over from this was the 10th game in Pytastic.
Okay.
Who is a good player, but he did contradict himself at one point, because at one point he had told me directly that we couldn't afford to miss Lynch anymore. We can't just throw away our votes. However, when talking about whether Azure, the vigilante at the time, should keep killing, he had unlimited stocks, so he could just keep killing every night for all they care. But faced with should Azure keep killing, he's like, yeah, just let him keep going. Let him keep mowing down people. That struck alarms in my head. So I went back and I saw that he had literally said to me, we can't afford to just randomly lynch. But then he says to Azure, just keep killing. I pushed him on that. It didn't immediately get him lynched, but it got people looking at him. It got Azure looking at him, which Azure later helped get him killed. It was Mafia. And then just even in this game, Fuzz had said at one point that Blindag was a suspect. He said this early in day 1 because he wasn't posting much. Day 2, right. I put out a question just to test the waters and see what he thought. Hang on, I'll be right back.
Okay.
No. Okay, I'm back. So Fuzz had said that Blindag was a suspect, just based on, oh, he hasn't been posting much. I'd like to hear more from him. But later, I had sent out the question, what does everybody think about Blindag's posting style or his play style? And Fuzz literally tells me at that point that Blindag is very passive. He doesn't lead, but he follows very well. He doesn't post a lot, but he's observing the thread and he makes good pushes. It didn't strike a chord with me immediately, but I went back and I saw where Fuzz had said, oh, well, Blindag's a suspect because he doesn't talk a lot. But here he's saying that he's a good player because he doesn't talk a lot. And that was one of my final pushes on Fuzz before he ultimately got killed.
Yeah, so going back to the point of looking back at the thread, a lot of people tend to take notes and spreadsheets and stuff to record all this information so they can look at that for a quick reference.
Yes.
So yeah,
that is one way
to consider with you.
Exactly. I really don't. I kind of keep mental notes. I may copy down posts if I need to come back to them, but that's rare for me. Synonym literally built a program that would
profile.
Literally to profile the entire thread and to clump people and to clump posts. So that's something.
And we saw how that worked.
And it worked. I mean, that's what he used to make his pushes in Phoenix Wright. He got 6 Mafia down on day 3, and then on night 3, he put the last Mafia in his last gasp.
Yep.
So, yeah, it works. I mean, it's not for everybody, but everybody should be going back and reading the thread. Even
Yes.
just you will see things that you did not see the first time through, and of course you won't see them because they probably weren't pertinent the first time through.
So yeah,
You gotta remember,
it's just a matter of finding a technique that works for you.
Yeah. Yeah, but always, but without question, you've got to look back at the thread. Like, there's different techniques for doing it, but you've got to do it. You've got to take the game as a whole. You've got to remember that there's things that may not come back till later that you probably ignored the first time.
Yep.
So, yeah, that would be my second point.
Okay. For my second point, I'm thinking about actions and how people react to certain phrases and being questioned and being the big one being suspected.
Yes.
So yeah, when you see someone that will get really defensive when they're being attacked, not necessarily attacked, but being questioned, it may be a sign that they're mafia or they've got something to hide.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's
So
good it's good that you say that they have something to hide, because you have to bear in mind that there are special roles that they do have to conceal, or else they're going to die.
Yeah, that's the danger with this technique.
Yeah, so just because they react badly does not always mean they're mafia, but you should be wondering what they're hiding at that point.
And how their actions have reflected how the voting has gone and what side they're most likely on.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think this joined with my previous point. Going back and reading the thread, you can start seeing, I mean, you look at their reactions and you look at their prior actions, you can start to kind of piece together a puzzle, you know, whether they're mafia, whether they're special role, and work from there.
Yeah, and this was something that Fuzz displayed on day 2 of the All-Stars, because he tended to go for a lot of the I'm not going to help you guys anymore now that you guys are lynching me. You know, stop lynching me and I might help you.
Yeah, the shrug of the shoulders.
Yes.
Like, who cares if I'm going to die? So I've seen this work 2 different ways. Like, I've seen that be a surefire mafia, and then in the Game of Champions I saw that happen, and it was a role-less Civ.
Yeah, that also comes back to the person's personality as well. Like, is that characteristic for them, or?
Yeah, and that's something that you do develop over games. I've gotten chided so many times for bringing back past games to judge people's actions, but people tend to default to basic MOs under pressure. And if you can figure out what their basic MO is with a certain type of role under pressure, then then you can piece the puzzle together. I mean, this is something that as a new player you won't know immediately, but you kind of figure it out after a little while.
And with that, you can also judge the other players' reactions based on their behavior.
Yes. Anytime something big happens in a thread, pay attention. I would say bookmark it on your browser, because you'll be coming back to that quite a bit, because there will be a lot of information that happens, if not directly from the person that's reacting, from the people that react to that.
So the way that people behave is one of the ways to tell who is mafia, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we do that in Skype. I mean, body language is a big tell. Don't have that in text. but you can tell how people react in text.
Yep.
It's just a different tool set you have to read versus you have to look at the person.
Exactly.
All right. So my final tell, I should have written this down. I have it in our Skype conversation from earlier. I'm going to have to check that, aren't I? Hang on, really quick. All right. Oh, yeah, look for people that buddy. This is something that can get you killed as Mafia very quickly. And in fact, I've used this as Mafia. I've tried to get my team to buddy on people because it's worked and because people don't suspect it a lot. But buddying early and strong looks
So just to clarify, this is agreeing with a person who is most likely Civ.
Yes, and trying to get them on your good side immediately.
Yep.
Without not just get them on your good side, but get them on your good side without a lot of just cause for doing so.
And this is something that OZ did really well with Radical Fuzz.
Yes, he had Radical Fuzz wrapped completely around his finger in the 12th game, to the point that up until the last day, Fuzz was defending him, and OZ was Mafia the whole time. He had Fuzz completely confused, and Fuzz was hard defending him to the point that no one touched him. But yeah, so when I talk about buddying, I'm not talking like late in not late in the game where there's a lot of known cleared civilians out. And those civilians are buddying with the other cleareds. That's fine. I would never, if you lynch off of that, you're crazy. But like day 1, day 2, day 3, there's not a lot of clears. And someone's just really cozying up to people. That's a red flag for me. Doesn't always work. I mean, Kaz used that against me in the Magic game.
Yep.
Which I'm still salty about. And I don't know why he did it. That shouldn't have been done, especially as a role, especially as a Civ with a special role. I think that was a bad play. But that's neither there at this point. But Cass was probably one of the biggest perpetrators for strong buddying early. In the zombie game, he hard buddied up the Soviet. I mean,
which
literally.
is already a red flag.
Yeah, like, what do you think about this, Soviet? How does this sound? What does this list match up with you, Soviet? And that's the only person he'd address at that point. And he turned out Mafia. Another one, probably one of my most obvious cases, was the Dragon Ball Z game. And I had said, I think, and Alpha, you were acting a little peculiar for your usual MO, in my opinion. I wasn't sure what to do with you. And Lime Green Potato. Oh, well, wait, no, I have to say, I had posted on, like, I think I know what Alpha's doing. There's a couple of situations where he would do this, but I'm not sure. But I think I know. And I hadn't really said anything about why I think this about you. But then suddenly, Lime Green Potato comes up to me. He's like, yeah, I agree with you totally, MP. What did I say that you could agree to?
Yep.
And he could never respond to that. It was this vain, desperate attempt for buddying that just failed miserably. And I mean, but ultimately I got killed any further, and he stayed alive for way too many days.
Oh, yeah.
But no one noticed that. But it was the thing, like I said, SRK, Jesus Toast, has had a weakness towards buddying.
Yep. And that comes back to your rereading point as well.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And another one, again, Fuzz, with his talking to Chief. Chief, what do you think about this and this? That was another attempt to buddy.
Yep.
And it didn't, and again, it did not sit well with me. And it's part of why I wound up with my lynch order being Co Jones, Fuzz, Chief. Even though I was wrong about Chief, I was right about Fuzz buddying.
Yep.
So I wouldn't, this is one that's hard to read, but especially in the early phases, I see someone buddying and that person is not a cleared civ, the one that's trying to buddy, not the person that's being buddied to.
Yeah.
But
For the first couple of days, you shouldn't have a civ that you can trust.
Exactly, because everybody's still in that point where they don't know who anybody is.
Yep.
So if someone's already buddying up to this civilian, it's probably because he already knew he was civilian because he's Mafia. Okay.
And yeah,
so your final point was...
so my final point is something we'll touch on later, but just for now, we're going to briefly go over it, and that's Mafia distancing themselves from other Mafia players.
Yes.
So yeah, this is usually used in order to stop people from making connections between Mafia members.
Yes.
So you'll find this in voting patterns and mainly in discussions with each other. Like most Mafia will only talk to civilians.
Yeah, actually, I want to do a whole lesson on this because there is a huge amount when it comes to distancing and buddying.
Exactly.
It's called, a lot of sites call this spewing, and there's a lot to it.
Right.
And spewing has been something that I've used as Mafia to my advantage.
Of course.
My last game as Mafia, I never addressed any of my Mafia in thread, and if I did, I never quoted them. I never tried to lynch them. I never responded to anything they had to say. No one picked up on it.
And if you were talking to them, you'd usually be referencing them in group with a couple of ships or so.
Yes. Like Shadow Wolf, I had referenced with Augustus for the Blacklight Lynch.
Yep.
And that's the only time I ever really referenced Shadow Wolf. And he was my enforcer.
Right.
So, yeah, distancing yourself is very. You can start to see who is interacting, who's not. If they're not interacting, I would look into them.
Yeah.
Because
we saw that with the Co Jones and Fuzz.
Yeah. Co Jones never talked to anybody but me.
Yep.
But he never talked to Fuzz. Fuzz did his very best to distance himself from them, because even when I was talking about my suspicions, Fuzz was like, yeah, that's okay, but blah, blah, blah. And he jumped off on a tangent.
Yep.
So that's another thing. Jumping off on tangents when you're talking about one suspicion, you're trying to get people off of that, and you're trying to distance yourself from that.
Yeah. Changing the topic is definitely one of the Mafia tactics that get people off that current topic and into a completely different route.
Exactly. So that's part of distancing yourself from the topic.
Yeah.
When a hot button issue is going to be a detriment to you, you end up distancing yourself from the whole thing by trying to get everybody else off that track with you.
Yep.
Okay, so
all right, I think that's it for the coaching segment.
Yeah, so like I said, I want you guys to just kind of, with homework. I mean, I guess maybe I would definitely do some Epic Mafia play on our site, play wherever you can, implement this, see what works, throw it to the wall. If it sticks, keep it. If it doesn't, throw it away.
Yeah,
With
and let
that,
us know if you want any advice on any aspects of Mafia.
yeah, any questions, any facet of the game you don't understand, post it in one of our threads about the podcast. We'll go over it, or post it in the coaching thread to help it, so we can, because we'll just do whatever we can unless you guys give us feedback on what you really need. With that, we're going to take a quick break, refresh Zoom, and we'll be back.
All right. All right.
All right. So welcome back. Okay, so going back over this, talked about just playing when you can, and one way you guys can do this tonight. I don't remember the time, but it's tonight,
9
Friday in
p.m.
America.
CST?
Yeah, I think 9 p.m. Central Time, 10 p.m. Eastern. If you're over on this side of the world, you're on your own. But Friday Night Mafia. Here on Twitch, we will be streaming. You guys can watch us go crazy.
We'll be there.
Oh, yeah. You better believe it. And quite frankly, I mean, it's fun. If you guys want to jump in, anybody and everybody's welcome. Sign up on the site. Let us know you're interested. Forge will get you hooked up.
Yep, JesusToastMafia.com.
Yep, register. It's free. We won't charge you anything but blood and semen to sign up.
You can say swear words on there.
You can say way too much. And remember, on Jesus Toast, you're black until proven otherwise.
That's correct. Not stolen from anywhere else.
Yeah, this is totally an original JTM thing. This is nothing. Yep. No other site has this. Not even World Star Hip Hop has this. Speaking of World Star Hip Hop, have you heard from Synonym lately? Now, for people that don't know, that haven't heard of our lore, I mean, Synonym is the penultimate player on our site. I mean, he, like I said, he's the one that pretty much nailed every Mafia on day 3 in the last game he played. Then solid, hard to read Mafia player. Almost won as a third party role. And then just before All-Star game, when he was like a lock to even be in the game.
Yeah, easily our best player.
Yeah, he ships out to the Army just out of nowhere. Oh, hey, I'm shipping out in like 2 weeks.
Yeah. Well, funny you should bring him up because I've been receiving texts from him.
Oh, really? Okay, I've got to hear some of these texts because for the people at home, we're gonna. You guys miss him. I know I miss him. He's probably one of the greatest people on the site. Pretty much, he's one of the reasons why the site is in operation. So it's fitting that we start hearing some texts and letters from Synonym. How his experience in the Australian Army is.
All right. Well, let's bring it up then.
All right.
All right. Day 1. Hey, Alpha. Made it safely to Kabuka. The bus ride sucked, but the people on the bus suck even harder. I'm used to being around shitty people after spending so much time on SOK, but these guys are something else. I won't have much phone access, but I'll try to let you know how it's going every chance I get. Day 3. Fuck you for sending me that picture of you playing video games. I've been out here 3 days, and I'm already having withdrawals. Gotten settled in, I've learned to tolerate some of the people here. Most of them are still morons, though. Food here tastes like shit, and they haven't gotten easy on us on training. Fuck, gotta go. Day 6. Starting to feel a bit uncomfortable around here. It looks like some of the others are starting to mentally break down. Didn't expect any less from these inferior people, but it's a different kind of breakdown to what I was told would happen in psychology at uni. They've become more receptive to suggestions, and their misery isn't helping them. I'm still taking it like a real nigga, though. Don't forget to lynch odds. Day 10. This isn't right. A couple of people disappeared during the last few nights. The sergeants told us that they couldn't take it and they went home. While I don't doubt that these guys are massive pussies, the ones that left were ones I wouldn't expect to leave. I'll do some more investigation and get back to you. Day 16. I fucking knew it. They're letting us have less and less time on our phones to communicate with the outside world. Gotta tell you this before I'm censored and they get to me. I have come to the conclusion that there are traitors in the midst of the training here, and they're trying to take over.
Shit.
It's time for me to use my ego to sniff them out. Day 20. Confronted my top suspect in the shower tonight. He called me a faggot trying to push me away. Typical Mafia tell. Don't know who to report to since I can't trust anyone. Not even the officers. For now, I'm just going to document my reads and reveal them when the time is right. Keep this information safe, Alpha. Day 25. I'm sending you a file with all the names of my top Mafia suspects. Not allowed to be on phones, so I managed to sneak into the room they kept all the electronic devices. Shit, I can hear them coming. Don't let this list get into the wrong hands. I'm counting on you. So I downloaded the list, but the file was blank, so probably some sort of transmission error. So yeah, Sin's gone batshit insane since he left, but he should be better once he gets back on a computer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So good luck to him.
Well, I hope
Sounds like he's having a good time.
That's all I have to say.
Yep.
All right. So
we'll hear back from him later on in the next episode.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I'm kind of on the edge of my seat. Did they night kill him or?
Yeah, he'll be fine.
Yeah, he's a real nigga.
That's right.
All right. Okay. So I alluded to this at the beginning of the show. Finally going to do it. Ladies and gentlemen, let's start the Proving Grounds. And what if you guys are unfamiliar, the Proving Grounds is a Mafia game where it'll be the same format but different theme as All-Stars. But anybody that was not in the All-Stars game can join, test their mettle, see how they play in the same format that we used, and just kind of get their feet wet. If they're brand new to the game, they can learn with a bunch of people that aren't as good as the awesome people.
Yeah.
It's a great game. I mean, it was the last time we had one Mafia win. We had 2 games running concurrently, and I had the option for that again. But in one of the games, Mafia won, and they played the perfect game. They never got anybody lynched on their side. And then the second game was a pretty decent civilian victory.
Yep.
So, yeah. So it's a fun game. I mean, I haven't played in it. I'll be running this one, but it's fun. So I would suggest anybody that's new, jump in. So
Yeah, it's a good starting point for new players.
Oh yeah. A lot of our good players started in this game. Synonym did not start in this game technically. He was in the offsite game first, then he went to Proving Grounds. But for SRK play, yeah, he started there, and it was very solid. Yeah. All right. So without further ado, Alpha, if you will, please.
All right. Let's bring it up.
All right. Let's do this. The theme for our second Proving Grounds. All right.
And there you go. I think we had a bit of a problem with sound there, but yeah, that's the theme.
Yeah. Our Proving Grounds 2 is Red versus Blue. The subtitle is Blood Cold Rising. And the sign-up threads are already up. I just put them up on JTM and SRK. So everybody, just go ahead
and be first to sign up.
Well, you can't be first to sign up. Dukesy already called dibs. But you can be second. Second's always good.
Yeah, of course. And who knows, second might be a good role.
Oh, yeah. So basically, same thing. The primary game will end up being the blue team as civilians, because I like the blue team better. But and 13 players to start the first game. If there are 26, I will run 2 games, and one will have red as civilian, and one will have blue as civilian. If you have a preference for being on the blue team civilian or red team civilian game, let me know. But otherwise, I will just randomize who gets in what game.
Yeah, can't wait to spectate that.
I'm excited. It's going to be pretty good. Like I said, it's a lot. It's a lot of fun. Pretty much almost everybody that played in the first Proving Grounds is still playing.
Yep.
So it's a good format. Also, one announcement: there were a lot of bans that started on SRK. just before we changed over to JTM, because it will be unenforceable, because because the banned players could always just make new accounts with new usernames, and I can't check IPs on SRK. I am resetting the ban list. It is open to anybody that was not in the All-Star game, including banned players on SRK.
So yeah, hopefully people that messed up accidentally on SRK that have got a ban for lifetime will be able to redeem themselves here.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, you have a second chance.
So yeah, I can't wait to see what the new players come up with.
Exactly. Yeah, we've got some new players that really seem fresh on JTM, so I'm really excited to see what they do.
Yeah.
And who knows? So now, another big announcement for the site that I'd like to touch on just a little bit. We may touch on this a little later, and I may not give it a thorough examination today, but prior to our move off of SRK, we had a leaderboard, which was basically just us giving Monopoly points to whoever did random amazing stuff in the game, or lynched properly, or got the win. It was basically as a way to see who was playing best, but it's not as accurate. We've ultimately proved that it's not quite as accurate as we'd like. I mean, it's a good buoyancy to see who does well with roles and who has the most wins, but ultimately it doesn't quite show team play.
Yes.
And this is a team game, so if you can't win as a team, then there's no point. If you can nail every mafia as a cop, but you can't get people to lynch with you, then you've wasted it.
Yeah.
So one thing that I have noticed that Daily Mafia, another site that runs solely webcam Mafia games, does is they developed an ELO system, which, if you don't know, it's basically a ladder ranking, where basically you start out at X amount of points, and then based on whether you win or lose, your points go up or drop. There's no points for lynching or anything. It's just, do you win? Do you lose? How good was the team? How good was the player that was playing against you? That will determine what points you get. The difference is with, and this was something that Daily Mafia, I can't take the credit for this, and I don't want to. Daily Mafia designed the system because ELO is for player versus player. It's not for team play in the rankings of players on a team. So what they do is we will take the average ranking of each team, and whoever wins will get X amount of points based on the average points of the team that they played.
Yep.
And the loser will lose X amount of points based on how many points the losing team had. One thing that we did take into account is third parties, because we love to play broken formats with third parties.
Of course.
Third parties have a harder time to win, so they get weighed differently. They get weighed less if they lose, because it's expected, and a lot more if they win, because it's very unexpected. And DQs, we have a lot of those, hopefully less now, but if you get DQ'd, automatically you get 10% off of your ELO scored. Just
So,
as
yeah.
punishment. We don't want you guys, screwing up the game.
Yep.
So.
And yeah, hopefully this will help determine the true skills of other people.
Well, I did run an ELO on the last season, and barring one one person, I screwed up and forgot to put a DQ in for Third Strike Love. So I'm scratching him off the list because I inaccurately did his. But it was reasonably accurate. I think there was a couple that I didn't think would be that high, but just based on what I think their skill level is, and I won't say who because I don't want shots fired at me. But I'll tell you what, here's the top 10 with Third Strike Love scratched out, because he was top 10 also, but because of his DQ, he wouldn't be.
Okay.
All right, top 10 from top to bottom. Some of these will shock you, but you'll think about it and be like, maybe, and it's a little accurate. It's actually pretty accurate. If we had based the All-Star game on this, I don't think anyone would have too many objections on it. So, number one, I told you I was shouting you out. Number one was Idbit.
I can respect that.
He's only lost once.
Yeah.
And it was his first game. Number two was Co Jones.
Ooh.
Which is a shock, right?
Yeah.
But in season two, in the first season, he lost a lot. In the second season, he had an uptick. And he did come up with some good plays. Yeah. Like getting you bombed in Musical Legends.
Yeah.
Third was Saitsu.
Yep. Okay.
Doesn't play as much of a schedule as everybody else, but you can understand why. Fourth.
Definitely a strong player.
Yeah. Fourth, Synonym. The reason he's lower is that he's had a couple of games where he has lost, where he should have probably won, or he didn't get to play as long.
Yeah, Danganronpa being a good example there.
Yeah. Fifth was Forge Digger.
Okay.
Sixth was Blind Nag. Seventh was Radical Fuzz. Eighth was me. Ninth was Bias.
Okay.
And 10th, another shocker for me, was Combo Knight.
Huh.
Not much of a team player, but he's been on the winning side way too often.
Right. So yeah, I think that does reflect the skill of people better than the Monopoly money board.
Exactly. So, and of course, depending on how the game flows, you could see yourself rise or fall, even if you are a good player. But ultimately, I look at this. This is over a 9-game sample. We'll probably have more before we do the next All-Star game. But the cream's going to rise to the top with a system like this. And it will. And one thing that does affect it is how much you play. If you're playing a limited schedule like Saitsu, you may get lower depending on your skill level. You may get higher, but probably lower.
Yeah.
If you play if you play a lot like Idbit or Synonym, it's going to fluctuate. Like Synonym, it fluctuated because we unequivocally call him the best. Idbit's good, not to take anything away from him, but Synonym's the best we've got. But his high volume caused him to plummet and especially when everyone knows he's good. We may have to take measures for that. I'm debating whether to add something in where like the first night kill gets taken off the average, so that you want to play better players. This is something that Daily Mafia does. I'm not sure if we'll do it, but it's something to consider because you want to play against better players. You're not going to get any better unless you're playing them.
Right.
So if you're Mafia and you see Synonyms, Civ, you're scared of him. So you kill him night one. Okay, well, he's got a high ELO. So you lose that in the average, and then you have to face a lower ELO team.
Okay.
So I'm considering also doing that with the ELO system. Now that's
Yeah, we'll have to
eventually going to
experiment
get,
around with that.
yeah. So that's eventually going to get hard coded into the site. Forge and Exodus are both, and Pimp Willy are all working on that at the
Excellent.
moment. Don't know when that's going to happen. But we've got that, the vote counter. Forge is talking about doing a role randomizer within the site now. So who knows? We've got a lot coming on. There's going to be a lot of upgrades to Simple Machines just because we're tailoring the site to what we've got.
Yeah, can't wait.
I can't. Yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting, especially with this new site, open formats. It's gonna be new. It's gonna be a
Yeah,
new
we're still
leaf.
in the early phases.
Yeah, we're kind of stretching our wings, but we've been doing this for quite a while, a couple of years. So I think we're gonna see something cool come up from all this. Okay. So with that, I mean, we're pretty much out of topics unless you've got anything you want to add, any questions you have.
I think we're good. I think, yeah, if they leave us any more questions, we'll be able to answer them in the next episode.
Yep. So yeah, just drop us some lines, let us know, and we are going. And with that, we are out. This is Missing Person, and with me, as always,
I'm Alpha. This is Lando.
We'll see you guys
Peace.
next time. Don't forget your coffee with your Jesus Toast.
And we'll see you next time on the Salted Butter Podcast. Spread that shit on your Jesus toast.
Yes. Goodbye.
Laters.